evening, wrestling fans. Happy Cinco de Mayo to you, Eric. And also, it's National Hoagie Day. So our boy, Trent Hidley, all the photos of him eating hoagies. I mean, so not only is it Cinco de Mayo, so enjoy yourself some tacos, hit some pinatas, but also go get yourself a hoagie in honor of Trent Hoagie Boy Hidley. It's a lot. We have a lot to celebrate here today, Eric.
Well, at least it wasn't Tuesday, and it could have been Taco Tuesday, and I guess it's a Hoagie Wednesday. I don't know. What is that? National Hoagie Day.
I don't know. I'm not sure what it. It's a hoagie.
It's a
hoagie
big day for the Hidley family, though. I know that.
It's a big day for the Hidley family. It was a big weekend for Malvern Prep. I don't know what they ate. Maybe it was a lot of hoagies. But they wrestled their tails off this past weekend at the unofficial National Prep Tournament. They called it the National Prep Open Tournament because obviously this year there was no, quote, official National Prep Championships. So wrestlers would represent their states that their schools were representing. So, it was a little weird. We may not have seen some of all the big names, guys and girls that we're used to, but still, Malvern Prep, 6 champions, including Spencer Barnhart, who we're going to talk to in just a few minutes. Just a dominating performance, Eric. It was, it couldn't have gone any better for them.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it, for a couple years now, the rise of that program, and I think this really shows the level that they're on now. As you said, not quite a full strength national prep tournament maybe, but I mean, taking 6 champs out of there is still just incredible. And I mean, you look at the back end of that lineup. That's one of the things that I wonder about. I feel kind of bad for those guys that they didn't get to have a more normal season like the PIAA did. Because I mean, imagine wrestling a dual meet with those 4 guys closing it out. If if you start at the beginning and go through, whenever you're ending with that murderer's row of an end of the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I wish, and I go back to this, but I wish we would have been able to see Malvern duel Waynesburg. I wish we would have seen Malvern duel Wyoming Seminary. It would have been a great dual meet. And, the interesting thing about Malvern Prep is there was a lot of guys in there that, because it was an open this year, they could enter more than one wrestler. So you had multiple weights where you had more than one Malvern Prep wrestler making it into the top 8. So not only are their starters, per se, doing really well, but those, quote, backups are doing just as good because they're finishing top 4. You look at, I think it was 195, right? Caden Rogers won it. Andrew Connolly took 4th. 2 guys that are teammates. It just like we saw at the Powerade tournament when Jack Waymeyer and Caden Rogers were the first ever teammates to wrestle each other in a Powerade final. So I know Malvern Prep, they had a lot of good competition this year. We saw them at the Midwinter Mayhem, also Powerade tournament. They got to get a lot of matches in, but like you said, not a lot of these teams were able to get a ton of action in 2020 and 2021.
Okay, Jeff, I'm putting you on the spot here. Malvern Waynesburg duel, how's it look?
Well, so it depends on whether we're using national prep weights or if we're using the PIAA weights. So
Let's go PIAA. Give Waynesburg the benefit of the doubt there.
So if we go PIAA weights, I do believe Waynesburg wins tight. We go national prep at Malvern Prep for sure because it's 14 weight classes, and you get both Jack Waymeyer and Caden Rogers both in the lineup. So, like you said, Murder's Row. I mean, your Murder's Row goes from 4 to 3 as opposed to 3 to 4. That's just the way I think it pans out. Which is kind of why I wish they would have dueled, because we would have been able to see them in whether that was a 14 weight class or 13 weight class. The 13 weight class clearly was advantageous to Waynesburg because of the fact that they had 13 just really good wrestlers, 5 of which were all in the state finals. So yeah, but Malvern Prep, 6 champions at the National Prep Tournament. So I think it depends on weight, Eric, but they're really good. Let's just put it that way. They won Powerade, and they beat Waynesburg. Waynesburg was without Luke Augustine, but still, they were right there with them.
Yeah, and that's Just one of the things we missed out on this year, unfortunately. But as we've said time and time again, we'll take what we can get. And the fact that we could get a de facto national preps tournament and get to see these guys in action at the very end of the year, a lot later than we're used to, but to get to see them in action and to see some of these matchups makes it all worthwhile.
Absolutely. And one of those guys, one of your favorite wrestlers, Eric, Spencer Barnhart. He's kind enough to join us on the phone now. Spencer, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Spencer, you know what Eric's nickname is for you? It's Mini Nick Feldman. Did you know that?
Yeah, I've heard that a few times.
What do you think of that? I mean, I said no longer the nickname shouldn't be Mini Nick Feldman. It's Nick Feldman is a bigger Spencer Barnhart. That's what I think it should be.
I mean, yeah, I like that. I like that.
Well, Spencer, you just won a national prep championship. Eric and I were just talking about how dominant Malvern was. And, you really came into your own this year. Last year, you wrestled 113 as a freshman. You did not place at the national prep tournament. This year, you win the title. What was the difference between last year and this year in terms of you getting to the top of the podium and really just the adjustments you made and really the improvement you made?
I think one big thing was like confidence, because last year, I mean, it's tough wrestling Ironman, Beast, Powerade, all back to back to back, and it's hard to get confidence going in because it's hard to win matches. And also last year, I think I cut a little too much weight, which really affected me in wrestling wise. Because this year, I mean, I still cut weight, but it wasn't as big. I really worked more in practice on wrestling than losing weight. So yeah.
That's interesting, Spencer. So you're saying in some ways this year not having the schedule that you normally do was a benefit for you. I kind of looked at it the other way that, man, I feel bad for you guys. We were talking and said, man, it stinks that you guys didn't get to have the dual meets you'd normally have and see that incredible lineup that you guys put together. You didn't get to have that. But in your eyes, you say, hey, it's a positive because now we're not so beaten up from that season.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I would want to have those tournaments, but last year it was just tough as a freshman going in right away to those tournaments and trying to do good.
And Spencer, you talked about it last year. You had, Powerade, you had Ironman. You were wrestling guys, every week a lot of them were nationally ranked guys. I mean, I can remember at the Powerade tournament, you wrestled Mason Prinky, I remember early on, but you beat Easton Toth, you beat Luca Big. I remember beating Nathan Holderbaum too, right? So, I mean, these are all guys that in Pennsylvania in the preps, they're really tough. This year you got to wrestle Ethan Bergick twice. You wrestled a bunch of tough guys at the Midwinter Mayhem, also at the Powerade tournament. Just talk about those two tournaments and really how they prepared you for this past weekend.
So first off, the Midwinter Mayhem, that was a good tournament for me because I won, obviously, but that was also another confidence booster because I came out and beat a returning state champ, which really gave me more confidence. And then Powerade too, just being the 2 seed in general, gave me confidence to do good. Which I got fourth. I mean, I think I could have won it, but I settled with fourth. So hopefully next year.
Spencer, you were 113 last year. Were you just locked in the weight room the entire shutdown? How did you get so big?
That's all I did. Nothing else to do. Might as well get as big as possible for next year, and that's exactly what I did.
Who can lift more, you or Nick Feldman? I mean, I feel like it's pretty close, right? I mean, the biceps are they're comparable.
I would hope Nick, but we'll have to see, I guess.
Well, and just looking back at this past weekend, I mean, everything went kind of to plan, I guess you could say. It was just a dominating performance for Malvern Prep. I was watching the finals at heavyweight with Darion, and it seems like the whole Malvern Prep team was out on that mat with them.
Yep.
It seems like just a family atmosphere. I can remember last year as well when Dalton Harkins won Ironman. It was literally a photo of I think the entire Malvern Prep team up in the corner. Talk about that just dynamic that you have there at Malvern Prep and really how special it is.
We all grew up together wrestling in that program, which it's really good to have chemistry, which I think really helps us be different from other teams because we're a family more than a team, which it gives us all confidence in each other and we really help support each other. So like at Ironman last year, I mean, that was awesome watching Dalton pin Master in the finals. That was crazy. And then this past weekend, Deary winning in overtime. That was crazy also.
Spencer, Jeff said, everything went to plan, but the one thing that didn't go to plan was the start to your finals match. Tell me about that. You get thrown on your back there. You're down 5. What's the mindset there when you're down 5 in the first period?
Just keep chipping away, try and get close as possible. It was 5-1 after the first. I picked bottom, 5-2, got a takedown, and then 6-4, I got another takedown, and 30 seconds left, got a turn. So I mean, it was just all about staying in my match, don't get like out of my head, staying focused and keep wrestling.
Well, and I was impressed there that third period, as you said, you get the tying takedown at 6-6. Conventional wisdom, I'm thinking with a minute left, okay, you're probably going to cut him, look for another takedown, but you said no, I'm going top, and I'm going to try to turn him. What's the confidence level like there?
I have confidence on top. I think I can turn anybody, because my coaches and my teammates, really my coaches, they just give me support, and they tell me just keep working on top. Nate keeps telling, keep scoring on top. Doesn't matter the score. Always look to score. Don't try and ride, which really is a big key to winning matches.
So what's next for you, Spencer? The whole Malvern prep team just had a great weekend. What's next for you? What's on the schedule?
I'm doing Northeast Regionals in like 2 weeks or next weekend, and then Freestyle States. And then I'm probably going to do NHSCA, like Duels in Virginia Beach. Then I don't really know what else is after that, but we'll see.
I'm sure there'll be a few trips to the weight room in between those two,
yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, you're busting out of the shirt there. I mean, Eric's like, you better not flex on Eric because he's
just getting meals delivered to the weight room. I don't even think he's leaving.
Well, Spencer, we hope to see you at the Surge. I know a bunch of Malvern prep folks were there 2 years ago when we had it, so we hope to see you out the Surge, and we look forward to seeing you transition into freestyle and get some gut wrenches and keep on turning on top, man. It was a great time seeing you this year, and keep it up.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Spencer, and we'll talk to you very soon. Okay.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
See you, Spencer.
Eric, I knew you were going to be excited to have Spencer on. I can remember after Midwinter Mayhem, I mean, you and I both said this on the recap, like, man, because I remember him as a 13-pounder last year, and I kind of went through that list of folks that he wrestled at the Powerade tournament, and a lot of them were in your coverage area, like Toth from Forest Hills, Holderbaum from Chestnut Ridge, and he was just coming off Ironman, then Beast of the East, and then Powerade. And he wrestled well there, but it's like you can kind of flip the analogy there. We're saying, well, now I got the confidence because I was rolling through. I beat Ethan Bergen. We had some good wrestling, but it really showed. I think it paid dividends because, like you said, he was down 5-1 out of the first period. 5-1 in those type of matches are very hard to come back from, and he looked calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah, he certainly did. You're right. In a finals match, a lot of times the scoring is down, everything's kind of tight. So yeah, you see a guy go up 5-0, you're like, oh well, this is over. We're not getting a comeback here. But like you said, he just kept chipping away, got an escape, got another escape, got a takedown. Now all of a sudden it's a 1-point match. And just kept chipping away and was able to kind of grind out a win there, which I think says a lot about him. And as you said, that confidence level of where he is right now, that he feels like he can rally from a point like that, and obviously shows that he can.
One trend I'm noticing amongst Malvern Prep, and we've been noticing it for many years though, but that bond, that family bond that they have there, and Nate Louder is just kind of the maestro there. He kind of is herding all the cattle, if you will, of Colton Deary, Nick Feldman, Spencer Barnhart, Tommy Link, Jack Consiglio, all of them, and just kind of saying, hey, we're gonna wrestle our best. We're gonna go out there and get the best competition. And we're seeing it pay off because these guys are conditioned, they're strong, and they're confident. All of them are confident, all of them are strong, and all of them can wrestle 8 minutes if they need to. I think, coaches should be taking note to what they're doing there, because you're seeing a lot of input or power output from these wrestlers. And, it really came to head here this last weekend.
Yeah, that you said the bond, and the other thing for me is the weight room. I mean, you can tell they put a lot of time and effort into that, and it shows. I mean, And that's one of the things that, when I wrestled, it wasn't as big of a thing. It was more about keeping your body lean and, the lowest weight class you could be at. And then you see guys like Feldman and Spencer Barnhart, and you're like, hey, that other way seems to work pretty well too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I liked how he said, maybe last year he was cutting a little bit too much, and, 13 to 26 it's not really that big of a jump if, in the grand scheme of things, but it is when you're talking about.
He's a big 26 pounder.
He's a big 26 pounder, right. He's a big 26 pounder. And he's filled out, right? And he's probably not cutting nearly as much as he was last year to get down and kind of being a suck down 13 pounder. We see it all the time, right? But he wasn't the only one from Malvern Prep to have a great weekend. 106, Jack Consiglio from Malvern Prep. We saw him win the Powerade tournament. He beat Tyler Chappell in the finals, had a great tournament at the Powerade tournament. And we see him just cap an amazing freshman year, winning the National Prep Championship, beating Carter Nogel from Maryland 6-1 in the finals at 106 pounds. Hunter Sloan from Germantown Academy took fourth, and Davis Motika from Wyoming Seminary, a guy we've seen a couple weeks in a row now, he took sixth at 106. Jack Consiglio, I mean, not a huge name coming up through the PJW ranks. Certainly not a Mason Gibson or Rune Lawrence or even Connor Hare. Jack Consiglio has had himself a great year for Malvern Prep, and it ended with the National Prep Championship.
Where was he on the national income or the top incoming freshman?
He was top 70. I can't remember where exactly, but he was definitely in there.
But I mean, obviously, yeah. If you were to redo that now, a national prep title is going to get you, yeah.
Yeah, he's. I mean, you don't win a Powerade title and a national prep title and not be top 10. I would say, obviously Rune and Mason are right up there. Connor Hare, but there's no doubt that he would be top 7, right? Just for the fact that you win Powerade and a national prep championship. But yeah, I definitely think he's had such a great year. 113 pounds. K. David Heiser from the Hill School, actually from Boyertown, he wins the title. Wins it 9-4 over Suleiman Ba he's from New York. He's actually a Beat the Streets New York product. He goes to the Kiski school, Kiski Prep, out your way, Eric. Well, not really your way, but down that way. He had a great tournament. Now, David Heiser, kind of took it to him in the finals a little bit, but he had a great tournament getting to the finals. Tommy Link from Malvern Prep takes fourth. So David Heiser comes away with a title. Not saying it was a little bit of surprise, but it was, he had to earn that one.
Yeah, the Hill School is somebody that I don't get to see at all. This year was a little different. Normally, I don't get to see prep guys too much at all. But as we talked about, having the Midwinter Mayhem and Powerade with Malvern there, we got pretty familiar with those guys. But the Hill School, do you get to see them in a normal year? Do you see them at many places?
Not nearly as much as any other. I mean, Malvern Prep definitely, because they go to all the big tournaments. The Hill School, we'll see sporadically there, but they're building a program at the Hill School.
Yeah, they seem like they are really putting some tough guys together there.
Look who's the head coach there. David Hoffman is a former NCAA Division I national coach. So I mean, he's obviously doing things right. Nate Brown is there as well from Lewisburg, but Lehigh, he's there. So I mean, they've got all the pieces in place, and we're kind of seeing it pay dividends here, because you're getting a lot of guys coming in from across the country to come in to wrestle at the Hill School and have some really good success.
Yeah, and that's good. I mean, we're really seeing Pennsylvania with a strong contingency of national preps guys. It's not just Wyoming Seminary and Malvern Prep right now. You're seeing, like you said, the Hill School. You're seeing Germantown Academy.
Yep.
You're seeing different guys that are out there placing. Yeah,
I mean, Germantown Academy. You got Josh Jeva from Council Rock South by way of Pennsbury, who also went to Iowa. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talent to be had out there. 120, Nick O'Neill from Malvern Prep, he takes fourth, and that was a tough weight class. You had Nico Provo, you had Brennan Cernis, and Kai Owen all in that bracket. So Nick O'Neill finishes fourth in a pretty deep weight class. We remember him from the Powerade. He wrestled Mason Gibson. He was a freshman, kind of a longer freshman. He kind of got a little bit bigger since from the Super 32 to Powerade. I feel like he grew 20 pounds or at least 3 or 4 inches. So, that's gonna, it's gonna change when you're going up a few weight classes.
Well, and from Super 32 to National Preps, you're looking at what, 9 months?
Almost 9 months. Yeah. I mean, that's a long time. If you go up to 126 pounds, Spencer Barnhart, of course, we just got done talking to him. He beat Dan Sheen, who's from Illinois, wrestles at Wyman Seminary, beat him 8-6 in the finals. And Eric, like you said, just an amazing comeback for him to go down 5-1 against a guy like Dan Sheen. It's hard to come back from that. And he chipped away. And even him talking about it, he didn't sound too flustered or bothered by that.
Yeah, and I mean, not that you ever want to go to your back, but I guess if you're gonna fall behind 5-0, do it right away. Give yourself as much time as possible to get on that comeback trail, and that's what he did.
Yeah, he absolutely did, and he came back for the championship title at 126 pounds. 132 pounds, Christian Coleman from Germantown Academy, and we talked about him the week prior because he had beat Dylan Chappell from Seneca Valley. He takes third in a pretty deep weight class. You had Jimmy Harrington, and you also had Gregor McNeil from New York, Wyman Seminary. So Christian Coleman, he's going to Duke. He had a good tournament at 132 pounds. 138 pounds, Shane Van Ness is as good as advertised. He beats Kelvin Griffin by way of Maine. We can't claim him. Remember, we talked about this before. I'm not going to take anything away from Maine. They don't have much. So we got to give him Kelvin Griffin. Shane Van Ness beats him in the finals. Dom Federici from Wyoming Seminary, he takes 6th, and Josh Varango from Malvern Prep takes 7th. He's a new addition to the team this year, having wrestled in the PIAA last year.
Yeah, pretty solid there. As you said, even if you don't include Griffin as a PA guy, you still got a couple of place winners there. Another strong showing there at 138.
145 pounds, Reid Fullmer from Malvern Prep. He takes 6th. He's a guy that we're going to see this weekend at the Stand Your Ground event. 152, Sam Beckett from the Hill School. He takes 3rd. Beckett's a guy who went to Souderton, went over to the Hill School, and I think has made a lot of improvements. I think this is his 3rd. It's definitely his 2nd time placing in the national preps. But 3rd in a pretty good weight class was not too shabby for Sam Beckett. 160, you had 2 wrestlers from Pennsylvania finish in the top 8, Magnus Frabel from Wyoming Seminary and Owen Quinn from Malvern Prep. Again, you've seen a lot of Malvern Prep guys where multiple guys are entered and getting on the podium, Eric, which is so cool to see. We talked about with the PIAA, I really wish we would have postseason tournaments where you can enter more than one wrestler in the postseason. That would be really cool.
I 100% agree. That was an odd weight class, though. Whenever you look at the place winners there, New England, Tennessee, another 3 New England guys in there. Maine, just kind of not the powers that you're used to in wrestling.
Well, when it comes to prep guys, I mean, most of those New England guys are prep wrestlers, and you're seeing a lot of them wrestle. And Tennessee is one that. They get some of the guys from Georgia and Tennessee kind of like flop wrestlers around. And yeah, I mean, it is weird to see on a bracket, but it's just kind of the way the matchups turn out. 170 pounds, Gabe Arnold from Wyoming Seminary. Again, can't claim him from Georgia. He wins the title after wrestling in the cadet world team trials, not placing where he wanted to. R.J. Moore from the Springside Chestnut Hill Academy, he takes 7th, so good showing by him. And then, of course, 182, probably the deepest weight class of the tournament, potentially. I mean, I think that you have some arguments in other weight classes, but 182 was pretty darn stacked. And you had Jack Waymeyer from Malvern Prep, T.J. Stewart from he's actually he's a Blair guy, but he's from Maryland. 4-2 in sudden victory in the finals, but then Cole Reese from Wyoming Seminary. When Cole Reese is finishing 3rd in a bracket, it was pretty tough, Eric.
Yeah, that's pretty loaded. You're right. Whenever Cole Reese is 3rd, and Jack Waymeyer, just continues to impress.
I think Jack Waymeyer needs to take a loss in the beginning of every year, and and then come back and just go crazy, because that's what he did. At True Power, he loses to Maxed Out, and then just goes off on a tear, beating nationally ranked guys all along the way, wins the Midwinter Mayhem, wins Powerade tournament, beating Cade Rogers, who is, his teammate, but Caden Rogers had just beaten Maxed Out. So, unfortunately, that was a really bad weekend for Maxed Out, because not only did he took a loss, but he got injured for the rest of the season. So Maybe we should have a rematch at True Power this year. But Jack Waymire gets the job done, 4-2 in sudden victory. A very good match. If you have a chance, go back and watch that. Wolfgang Frabel from Wyoming Seminary takes 8th there. 195 pounds, Caden Rogers wins it 3-1 over David Harper of Tennessee to win a national title. Very good performance by Caden Rogers. Luke Duthie of Wyoming Seminary takes 3rd. Andrew Connolly from Malvern Prep takes 4th. So there you had 2 Malvern Prep guys finish in the top 4.
And 3 of the top 4 from Pennsylvania schools. So pretty impressive showing there, too.
Then a guy by the name of Nicholas Feldman, I think it is, wins it at 220 pounds. Eric, you're not laughing at that. Is that not funny? Nick Feldman.
I did laugh.
Did you? Okay, I couldn't see you. Nick Feldman wins it by fall over Gabe Fisher, 4 minutes, 35 seconds. I mean, I may just go ahead and say it now. Is Nick Feldman the pound-for-pound best wrestler in Pennsylvania? I mean, again, we talk about Ryan Crookham. Maybe it's just the fact that I've been seeing Nick Feldman so much, but is this guy not?
Do you remember that? I go back to the Dayton Pitzer matches, though. I mean, he's at a different level. For me, I think he is the best pound-for-pound guy in Pennsylvania.
Well, I mean,
and maybe just the best guy in Pennsylvania overall. We need to have a no weight classes tournament, Jeff. We'll just line up, about 15 guys, just throw them out there, see if Nick Feldman can beat them all right in a row.
You know who will be in the finals? Tournament. It'll be Nick Feldman and Spencer Barnhart in the finals.
Did you guys do takedown tournaments when you were young?
They were the best. Yeah, no, the takedown tournaments were the best because you never had to do any mat wrestling. It was like freestyle. I remember Elizabethtown back in the Harrisburg area. Elizabethtown always had a takedown tournament, and it was always a preseason one, and it was just a lot of fun because you didn't have to like get ridden out for 2 periods and then get up and I don't know how I'm going to get this.
Didn't matter.
Right. It was like freestyle, right? But it was a lot of fun. Yeah. We should do that. And Spencer Barnhart and Nick Feldman wrestle in the finals. Battle of the biceps. Feldman wins it at 220. Mac Levine from Springside Chestnut Hill in the Philly area. He takes 8th. Colton Deary, big Cole Deary from Malvern Prep, gets another national prep title. Colton Deary is a guy who wrestled in the PIAA Garnet Valley, was a state medalist. He battled back and forth with Isaiah Vance, but he had a really tough match in the finals here with Jake Kaminsky of Wyoming Seminary, who's from Illinois. 3-1, he wins it. He actually won by default, but it was an ultimate tiebreaker at the time. Colton Deary is a guy who wants to do it all. He wants to play football. He wants to wrestle. He's going to Maryland to make that happen. What I like about this bracket is 4 of the top 8 are all Pennsylvania guys. Now, of course, Jake Kaminsky from Wyoming Seminary could be considered one, but he's from Illinois. Harrison Levine's from Germantown Academy takes 4th. Billy Brosco, another PIAA transfer at Haverford, he takes 5th. DJ Moring from Wyoming Seminary, who was at McKeesport, if you remember him from the Surge a few years back, he takes 6th place. So Colton Deary, what a way to cap his year off. I know he didn't get the Powerade title that he wanted to over Isaiah Vance, but man, what a match that he had to get through to win that national prep championship.
Yeah, and as you said, just a super talented kid, both on the football field and the wrestling mat. So, awesome to see guys like that have that athletic ability. And, it's easy for those guys to say, oh, well, I'm just going to concentrate on football. That's the place where I can get the full ride easier. That's the place where I can play professionally easier. There are a lot of reasons for a big guy to say, okay, I'm going to just concentrate on football. But it's awesome whenever you see a guy that's talented, that is that talented and still wants to be on the wrestling mat as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Cole Deary's pretty good at both sports, but, obviously he wanted to wrestle and play football. He likes them both. I think back to Micah Parsons, right? He was just drafted in the first round by the Cowboys. He wrestled at Central Dauphin, was a really good wrestler. I mean, I can remember, obviously, coming up through the Central Dauphin program, his older brother, Terrence Parsons, wrestled at CD not too long after I did, and, everyone was like, Micah Parsons, this guy's going to be a stud. He's going to be the real deal. And then, after 8th grade, he just focuses on football. and which is great, which is good because obviously it paid out, and I mean it paid off in more ways than one. But when he was at Penn State, he wanted to wrestle. I mean, he wanted to get in there and compete, and he was in the Penn State room with David Taylor and Bo Nickel and those guys rolling around because he was like, he in his mind he was like, yeah, I can wrestle at Penn State because he was just so gifted and so talented. He's so good. Imagine him wrestling through the way through high school, and you think of how good he could have been. Cole Deary, I think, is a case where he's a very good football player, a very good wrestler, and I think this is going to help him in college. Both sports, each one's going to complement the other.
Yeah, it's tough to do both in college. So I hope that works out for him. But you're right, and you see this all the time on social media posts about the number of NFL linemen that wrestled and things like that. And I mean, obviously, we're a wrestling brand where we're focusing on that end of it. But I do think it is very helpful, especially for bigger guys, to be able to do both and to have that footwork and the hand fighting and just all the things that translate from wrestling to playing offensive or defensive line. I think that certainly is helpful there. And I understand why we see the smaller weight classes in Super 32 and things like that, where guys aren't going to concentrate on wrestling if they have that option for football, but it certainly complements it if you can do both at that weight range, especially.
I mean, it only makes you better, right? I mean, it's not like you wrestle and you somehow get worse at football. Like, it only benefits you conditioning wise, hand fighting wise. I mean, you're seeing more and more linemen specialize in wrestling drills, right? You're seeing it more and more, and it's becoming more prevalent. And you're seeing, NFL and college coaches that want to see that footwork and that hand fighting. So wrestling is just kind of that natural fit. But yeah, it was really good to see Malvern Prep do well there at the National Prep Tournament. Wyman Seminary, Germantown Academy, the Hill School, all wrestled really tough. And, I kind of wish we could have seen Malvern Prep and Waynesburg and Wyman Seminary do a tri-meet, if you will, and wrestle to see who was the best in Pennsylvania. But maybe, hey, Waynesburg basically returns a lot of their lineup, and Malvern Prep returns a lot of theirs. So we should just make it happen in the fall. What do you think, Eric?
Well, why don't you get a summer duel going here, Jeff?
Because there's literally wrestling every weekend, and it's freestyle season, and there's things called like vacation, and I don't know. Everyone was locked down for a year, so no one wants to really. It's tough. It's hard. Speaking of,
I'm just kidding. I know. We looked at that before whenever we were talking about events that we could do, and it's like, man, the calendar is so loaded, and then we got this unforeseen break where all of a sudden nobody was wrestling. And then, now everything is launching back up again, which is awesome. We love seeing all these events going on a weekend where you can flip online to Rockfin and find, 6 different events going on. And, just all these talented guys that you've been able to hear about, but maybe not see in action. And now it's the perfect opportunity. And we've talked about it a little bit before. In some ways, the pandemic really helped wrestling in terms of thinking outside the box and finding different ways to do things. And now it just seems like there's so much more wrestling available to the fan from home that, you don't have to drive 6 hours to watch an event. You can bring it up on your big screen and watch it in your living room.
I mean, innovation, right? I mean, the wrestling community as a whole, the wrestling world just kind of adapted and found ways, just like a lot of society did. And speaking of some wrestling that's coming up, we have WrangleMania coming up in New York, and you talk about not having to leave your couch or leave your house to go see some good wrestling. This is going to be some very high level wrestling on Saturday, right outside of Albany. It's like Malta, New York, and it's going to be a heck of a drive for me and for a lot of the wrestlers that are going to be there. But it's going to be a lot of fun because we're seeing teams from Minnesota and New York wrestling with Pennsylvania. Eric, it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait for it. You want to go in and look at some of the rosters here, because there's some loaded rosters between the 3 teams, Eric.
Yeah, absolutely. I was able to take a glance at the rosters earlier, and man, you were able to, you and Journeymen and everybody were really able to put together some great teams here that should make for some fun dual meets.
So basically, Frank Popolizio, obviously everyone knows Frank, brother of Pat Popolizio, and he's been running Journeymen, and he's kind of, let's say like the guru of wrestling events. He's been running wrestling events for a very long time, and it shows because he's doing things that not a lot of people can do, bringing in international talent. So when he called to say, hey, I want to do this, do you want to help get a team from PA together? It was a no-brainer, right? It's during a busy time of freestyle season. We have the last state qualifiers going on the 8th. We have the national teams qualifier going on both on Saturday and Sunday. So it's a tough time to have an event. However, Pennsylvania is bringing a pretty star-studded lineup, and Minnesota is the team that I'm really looking forward to because they're bringing a lot of young guys that have national recognition, but I think they're going to surprise a few people here this weekend. So WrangleMania is Saturday the 8th. Wrestling will start at 9 o'clock, and we're going to wrestle. Each team's going to wrestle each other all the way through. It's in freestyle, and Eric, let's break down the lineups here. We'll start with New York, the host state here. We had a couple changes, so your lineup may be a little bit different than mine, Eric. Darion Florence is now the wrestler at 106. He's a 9th grader. He was a state 6th place finisher as an 8th grader, runner-up this year. He's at 106. Gianni Silvestri is at 113. Jay Schaefer, who's going to West Virginia, he was a 2-time state champion in New York. He's a senior. He's going to be at 120. The headliner of Team New York is by no doubt Steve O'Pullen, who is just one of the best wrestlers. I feel like we've been watching him since he was a youth wrestler, and that's kind of true because he went viral. But Steve-O is really the guy. He's going to NC State.
Does he still have the mohawk?
I don't believe so. I don't think
so either. I think the last time I saw him, the mohawk was gone. But
yeah, but he's the tenacity and the grit that we saw from that youth video has not gone away. Steve-O's a 4-time New York State champion. He was a cadet world team member for Team USA, took 5th that year. He's ranked 4th in the nation by Willie Saylor of Mat Scouts. Man, he's going to be the real deal. I would have loved to see him going up against like a guy like Mason Gibson, but it's Mason's a guy who he's looking to do big things and go out to Fargo. So Gabe Grahamley from Team Pennsylvania is going to be getting a shot at him. 132, you have Chase Lardy from Ohio. Well, he's going to Ohio State. He's a senior, 2-time state finalist from New York and also 4th. Overall, though, you look at some of the weight classes here. We lost Jake Knoll at 170, who was ranked top 10 in the nation. He was a guy I think a lot of people were looking forward to seeing battle with Trey Cobb, but he had to pull out with an injury. Brock D. Signor who's going to NC. What, is that not the way you say it? Del Signor. I can't listen. You think it's bad me saying Pennsylvania names? You throw in like the Italians, and you have the
you somehow got Lardy out of Liardi there.
Liardi.
These guys are going to be looking for you on Saturday.
Come and find me. I'll be the one with the PA Power shirt on. Listen, tell me how to pronounce your name because I'm that's never been my strong suit. He's going to NC State. So we see 2 guys from New York.
Yeah,
obviously,
half of the field is going to NC State here. Is there some kind of Popolizio connection here?
It's called the Popolizio Pipeline. Okay, it actually runs. You can see it runs from Malta, New York, all the way down. It's cuts through Pennsylvania. It stops in Mifflin County. It takes a detour over to Forest Hills. Right, it comes down. So Team New York is good, right? You see a lot of guys that were state champions, state medalists. Sam Sorensen from New York, who's a 10th grader. I actually read a little bit about this guy. He was, New York canceled their state tournament. So he was like, man, this sucks. I'm not going to be able to wrestle in a state tournament. He has a friend who moved out to Wyoming. He said, hey, come live with me. You can wrestle in Wyoming. He wrestles in Wyoming, wins a Wyoming state championship, then comes back to wrestle in the Journeymen, New York unofficial state tournament, wins that. He's only a 10th grader. So it's pretty cool to see a guy that dedicated to wanting to get some matches in.
And again, you're looking at a big guy that is willing to do that. I mean, not saying that it's any less noteworthy for a 132 pounder to do that, but you're looking at a 220, a guy that could conceivably be a good football player, and instead he's saying, "Hey, I'm gonna win a state title in Wyoming, come back to New York, win it. I'm gonna wrestle here in freestyle." So he's obviously going all in with wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's pretty. And not only is he a bigger guy, he's a younger guy too. So like, it's really cool to see those guys, that dedicated, that early on as well. There's a lot of good young heavyweights that are competing in WrangleMania, so I'm pretty excited about that. Which brings me to Team Minnesota. Ooh, man, Team Minnesota is tough. So they're young and they're tough. So most of these guys, I would say 99% of these guys are Pinnacle wrestlers, and you should know that the club Pinnacle, right? Jody Stripmatter from Young Guns and Pinnacle, they've had some battles back and forth on some club teams and club scenes. Minnesota is bringing the house here, and for good reason, right? They're coming a long way. Mason Mills, a 10th grader who was third in the state tournament. Caleb, how do you say this name, Eric?
Yeah, good luck on these Minnesota ones. I've been waiting for you to tackle these. Thones, maybe?
Thones, yeah, maybe. Thones. It sounds like a pretty strong last name. He sounds like he's probably pretty good.
I like Thones, kind of sounds like Stones a little bit.
Like Norwegian, right? Kind of like Thor. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, combining Thor and Stone,
Mm-hmm. Tyler Wells. He's ranked in the nation at 113 pounds. He's ranked number 12th in the nation. He's a 2-time Minnesota state champion. So he's going to have his I wish he would be up at 126 to wrestle Steve-O, to see those guys go at it. But wait till we get to Team Pennsylvania. Just hold your horses here. What about 126 and 132, Eric? You're so good at pronouncing names. How would you say these two names?
Landon Robideau.
Okay.
And Coy Buskins.
Robideau is super good. So this is a guy who I've actually heard of. And the reason being is he's in 8th grade. He's already a 2-time Minnesota state champion.
Wow.
It's reminiscent of Mark Hall, of, Carson Manville and the Gable Stevenson guys like those. That's pretty impressive to win it as a 7th and an 8th grader.
Did he win it or take second? Because the Rockfin, I thought it said second.
I'm sorry, second. He took second twice. He was in state
still
finals
impressive.
Twice.
I'm not trying to discredit him. I just want to make sure we're on the same page there.
The guys he lost to were all nationally ranked guys. I can't remember exactly who he lost to, but they were nationally ranked guys. So Eric, go ahead and look that up while I'm talking through the roster. He's the real deal. So that is going to be a good match between him and Steve-O, I believe. Gabe Grahamley for Team PA, who we haven't talked about Team PA yet, but I think he's going to be tested. He's going to be tested by both Team New York and Team Minnesota. Zach Hansen from Minnesota at 138. He's a 10th grader, also 2-time Minnesota state finalist. Nick Novak from Minnesota, he's a senior going to St. Cloud. What you'll notice here with Team Minnesota is there's only a handful of seniors here. Novak is one of them, but most of these wrestlers are 10th graders and below. There's a lot of 10th graders. There's a lot of 8th graders, 9th graders. You're seeing a lot of young talent here. So they're young, and there's only 4 that are in the national rankings, but that's a lot for just one state to come in, especially how young they are. So I'm excited to see a guy like Nick Novak, who is a state champion, 2nd, 4th, and 6th in his career. Jed Wester as well at 152. He's a freshman, was 5th as an 8th grader, 2nd as a 9th grader. Bryce Daigle, who's going to North Dakota State. He's a senior. He was 2nd, 4th, and 6th at the Minnesota State tournament. Eric, did you figure out who he lost to yet?
Jor Volk.
Oh, Jor Volk. Yeah, that's who it was. Jor Volk. Yeah, Jor Volk is one of the top guys in the nation. Remember, he was the one.
Looks like twice. It looks like he lost to him both.
Yeah, he
times.
lost to him in both years, and they were close, like 3-1, 3-2, I believe. And
yeah, 3-2 last year.
And if you remember when we talked to Mason Gibson about who was going to be in his world team bracket, Jor Volk was one of them. So yeah, I mean, you're an 8th grader. You lose to Jor Volk in 2 straight years in the state finals. Both, he's one of the best, so no shame in that. Eric, what about 170? How are we going to say 170?
These are my favorites. I've been waiting all day for you to get to these because I'm going to call them the wrestling Rogotskis.
Ryder Rogotsky. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, again, it's Rogot. I guess I don't know. Roman.
That's an
and
awesome
Ryder.
name, Ryder Rogotsky.
No, I know it's a cool name.
I assume his brother at
Yeah,
195, Roman.
Ryder and Roman Rogotsky. I mean,
and they sandwich Mannix Morgan. How good of a name is that?
Mannix Morgan. That's what it sounds like a
These
superhero.
Minnesota names are awesome.
I mean, that's that like Scandinavian influence that Minnesota has. It's it's all.
You betcha.
That's. I feel like that's. I mean, that is Minnesota accent, but I mean, Mannix. I mean,
Mannix.
Man, you're a man.
There was some kind of like 60s TV show called Mannix, I think.
Okay, well, you would know. I wouldn't.
I would not know. I wasn't even born in the 60s.
Ryder. How are you gonna say it?
Rogotsky
is a
you
sophomore.
You got a
Rogotsky. He is a sophomore. He's ranked 4th in the nation currently by Willie Saylor of Mad Scouts. Pretty darn good, right? That's why we were really excited about that Jake Knoll match. And you're going to see for Team PA is Trey Cobb.
That 170 would have been loaded. I was really excited about that.
Rogotsky, do you know who he beat at the Cadet World Team Trials?
Who did he beat?
He's from Georgia, wrestles in Pennsylvania. We just
Gabe
talked
Arnold.
about Gabe Arnold, right? That was a big win for him at the Cadet World Team Trials, which moved him up to number 4 in the nation. He's been 3rd in the state tournament 3 years. As a 8th grader, 9th grader, and 10th grader, 3rd in the state tournament. Mannix Morgan, he's a senior going to North Dakota State, 3rd and a 4-time state qualifier. Roman Rogotsky going to South Dakota State, and he's number 19th in the nation. He was a state champion, 3rd, and qualified 5 years. So pretty cool. Tommy Johnson at 220. He's a senior as well. He finished 2nd, 3rd, and 6th in his career. The guy who I'm really excited about, and Riley Robel is our heavyweight for Team PA, is this young freshman from Minnesota by way of South Dakota, Navarro Shunky. Is that how we're going to say his name?
I'd probably go Shunk, but it could be Shunky. You could be right. There's
probably
an E
silent
on the
E.
end.
Probably silent E. Shunk. He's ranked 16th in the nation by Willie Saylor.
Wow.
He's
as a 9th grader.
As a 9th grader, he's a 2-time South Dakota state champion. Now, granted, it's South Dakota, right?
Still, he's winning a title as an 8th grader. Heavyweight or a big weight class.
I believe he wasn't heavyweight, I think, as an 8th grader, but as a freshman heavyweight, winning a state title, this guy's the real deal. I'm told. I'll find out here on Saturday, but he's apparently pretty good from all reports out of Minnesota, South Dakota area, and including Willie Saylor, who says he's pretty good. Drum roll, please, Eric. Team PA, here we come. All right. 106, Landon Baney. We talked about him many times on the show before. 9th grader. He was 6th in the state this year at 106 pounds. Pretty loaded weight class.
And he was a small 6-pounder going into the year.
He was, and kind of the reason why you're seeing him wrestle 106 flat, because these weights are flat weights. So you're seeing him being able to cut down to this. Dalton Perry. Now, Eric, before the show, you asked me, you said, is that number 3 like overall junior high? That's number 3 in the nation for high schoolers. Yeah. So I mean, he had a really good Cadet World Team Trials. I mean,
yeah.
He did. He just finished behind Jess Ruga and McGowan. So he's right there with some of the best in the nation. So while I agree it's kind of odd to see an 8th grader ranked number 3, we've seen it before though, right? We've seen these guys that are really good at that weight. Spencer Lee, Luke Pletcher, both those guys were really good as 8th grader on the national level. Dalton Perry, Super 32 middle school champion, 2-time PA junior high state champion. He's going to get tested. I can't wait to see him in action, because every time we see him, I feel like we just see fireworks, Eric. And we saw that true power, right?
Yeah, he doesn't go. He's not looking to grind out a 1-0 win.
120 pounds, Jaden Pepe from Wyoming area. He was a Fargo All-American a few years back. So, remember, this is freestyle. This is competed in freestyle, not folk style. So, kind of a little bit of a different game here. Jaden won a state title this year, had a great year, beat Gavin Bradley, was third last year at 106 pounds. He's up to 120. I think he's going to, again, be tested. You're a PA state champion. We talked about that at the National High School Coach Association, where I thought he was going to finish a little bit higher than what he did. So this is a good chance for him to rebound and, come back and knock off some guys.
Yeah, you're right. And, we've talked about it before, summer wrestling, postseason wrestling, even though the season doesn't really end for these guys, you can't be ready to peak at every event. I mean, it's just not physically possible. So, you're going to take peaking at the PA state tournament, I think, as opposed to doing it at Virginia Beach. Most PIAA guys certainly are going to tell you that they'd rather win a PA state title than a Virginia Beach title.
No, I totally agree with you there. 126 pounds, Gabe Grahamley, heading to Pittsburgh. We got to see him at the Redemption Duel. He fell to Luke Simcox in that match. He was 4th this year, 8th the year prior, 4-time state qualifier, going to Pitt. 126 pounds, he's got his hands full, but I know he's ready. I know he's ready to come scrap. I know he wasn't, real excited about the way he wrestled at the Redemption. So, this is a good and he wrestles a lot of freestyle. He wrestles a ton of freestyle, so I think this kind of fits him a little bit better. 132, Carter Dybert from Franklin Regional. Another guy, when we talk about redemption, he loses in the state finals after his junior year, where he loses and then comes back to take third. He won his state title as a sophomore. That seems so long ago when he won that state title over Dylan Chappell at 106 pounds. 4-time state qualifier, 1st, 3rd, 2nd at the state tournament. He's ranked number 12th in the nation at 126 pounds. He's going to Arizona State. I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see Carter get after it because, he was one of the first people to say he wanted to wrestle in this. I think he's excited to prove, that he belongs.
Have you seen him do a lot of freestyle?
Yeah, he's done a decent amount of freestyle for sure. I'm probably not as much. And Pennsylvania wrestlers just, you look at the nation, we don't wrestle nearly as much as some other nation or other states, I believe. But still, those guys that wrestle year round, he wrestles a good amount of freestyle. Yeah. One guy who I'm very, very excited to see, and we talked about the NC State pipeline, is Jackson Harrington, who's ranked number 8th in the nation by Willie Saylor at 132 pounds. State champion this year, state champion as a freshman, was 3rd as a sophomore. Was he one of the best wrestlers this year in the state of Pennsylvania, Eric? Because I think he was.
He was, and I think the number 8 ranking is because of some what you said. Like, we don't see him on the national stage as much.
Yeah.
But what he did during the PIAA season, yeah, I think he's certainly in top 5 pound for pound in the state. Because he just dominated everybody that he wrestled. It was like, for me, having him and Mason Gibson, throughout the year, they were kind of like, okay, go out and tech a guy, and then the other one goes out and techs a guy, and it was kind of the same thing. And Mason didn't quite end up that way. He got a couple tough matches and then ended up losing, but Jackson just kept destroying everybody he wrestled. I told him, like, Jackson, I don't know what to ask you anymore, because every match is the same. You go out and you score 15 points and it's over.
It doesn't matter who it is. He's going out and scoring 15 points. We saw it at the Powerade. Really, just he hit in a different gear there, I feel like, and it just didn't stop. He just kept on wrestling hard, just never stopping. I told his dad, I was like, I don't know what you did in the postseason or the offseason, but whatever it is, it's working, because he looks incredible. I'm really excited.
I think it was
a
lot of Shane Valco.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's Uncle Shane. Whatever it is, I know he's a relative of Jackson's, and I see a lot of Shane Valco in Jackson, and the way he wrestles, kind of that UPJ style, just attacking, and just even though he was a state champion, as you said, as a freshman, he made a huge jump between that sophomore and junior year, and just such a different level right now than he was on before.
It's night and day. You look at the state title as a freshman to a junior. I think he's a completely, there's no way to compare how good he is now compared to what he was as a freshman. He looked, he was good as a freshman, but it was. I'm not saying it wasn't a deep weight class, but it just the way he's been wrestling recently this year has just been. It's like a totally different wrestler. So I'm just really excited to see him, and I know Pat Papalizio is very excited that he got him to head down to NC State. So it's going to be a good time for him to wrestle against some future teammates too from New York. So should be fun at 138 pounds. Nathan Lucier, who's going to New York to wrestle at Binghamton, he's a senior. He was 4th this year at the state tournament in a loaded 132-pound bracket. He was also 6th the year prior to that. He's going to be wrestling 145. Dagan Condamiti from Northampton, who we just talked about winning 2nd at the National High School Coaches Association. He was the one who, took he took Wyatt Henson down to the wire there, ends up finishing 7th in the state. I know he's excited to get after it. So, Pennsylvania young too, right? 9th, 8th, 10th. We have a slew of seniors, but a couple underclassmen too as well when we get up to the heavyweights, Eric.
Yeah, and we talked about this a little bit before. I think with Pennsylvania, you see the seniors maybe not wrestle as heavy a summer schedule just because normally they've been through such a grind with the PIAA season, and they get enough attention during that high school career that most of them have their college commitments already locked up. And I'm not saying they're coasting by any means into that freshman year, but sometimes they're already on campus taking classes, kind of getting into the college scene, and wrestling that summer between senior year and freshman year of college isn't as quite a big a deal, but a little bit different this year. So we do have a number of seniors on here, but a good mix, I think, between those young guys and the experienced guys.
Yeah, I mean, young as Dalton Perry, and as old as a guy like Lucier or Dybert, or even Seth Huntsinger, who we're going to see in a little bit at 220. Tyler Lillard, this is a guy who not a lot of Pennsylvania fans may know. If you remember, he wrestled Eric Gibson at the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club duel. He's from Georgia, wrestled in Ohio. Then he came to Wyman Seminary. He didn't wrestle. He's at Wyman Seminary. Didn't wrestle for Wyman Seminary. He's been wrestling basically at open tournaments almost strictly. He was a Georgia state champion, was a qualifier at the Ohio State tournament. He's a junior. He's heading to Indiana, and he's ranked number 20th in the nation at 170 pounds. So I'm really excited to see him against some of these top talents. He's going to wrestle a senior, Bryce Daigle from Minnesota, who that should be a good match as well. Carter Bear from New York, who is a 2-time state champion from New York. So he's going to get a lot of Pennsylvania wrestlers fans to get to know his name. Trey Cobb from Mifflin County. Again, we talked about, much like Carter Dybert, 2 seniors who were state champions their sophomore years, lost in the state finals their senior year, coming back for a little bit of redemption. Trey Cobb headed to Virginia Tech. He's ranked number 11th in the nation at 182, was a runner-up this year, 4th as a junior, a state champion as a sophomore, beat Clayton Ulrey, guy who he's going to be teammates with. 170, we talked about Jake Knoll from New York having to back out, so that kind of dropped a pretty nice matchup there, but he's going to wrestle one of your how do you say it?
Rogotskis,
one of your Rogotskis here, Ryder Rogotsky, a young sophomore here. So excited to see Trey in action here at 170 pounds. Matt Furman from Cannon Mac, the only guy on here other than Dalton Perry and Tyler Lillard to not make it to a PA state tournament. He's only a sophomore, regional 4th place finisher. And, Matt Furman, though, is a guy who he loves to wrestle. He wrestles hard. He wrestles tough. I feel like he wrestles every weekend. We just saw him down at the National High School Coaches Association Virginia Duels, or Virginia Beach Nationals. So he's a guy who I think is hungry and ready. He qualified for the PAWF state championship this past weekend. So he's ready to rock and roll in New York.
Yeah, like you said, he's a guy that seems like he's wrestling every weekend and was on the podium in Virginia Beach. He's a guy that I think definitely we'll see some better things to come. Pretty tough weight class he was in this year in the WPIAL, and just a situation where I think we're definitely going to see some better things out of him, especially if he continues going every weekend to events like this where he's just going to get better and better.
Right, absolutely, you're right, and he's going to wrestle your boy Mannix Morgan from Minnesota. So it's time to man up, Matt. You're going to have Mannix. Excited to see that one. 195, Sonny Sasso, a guy who won a Virginia Beach national title in the sophomore division. He wrestled 170 this year, and he's up to 195. And, I kind of asked him, I was like, you sure you don't want to go 182? He's like, nope, going 195. And I think he's going to have a really good weekend here because he's going to get the other Rogotsky. He's going to have Roman Rogotsky from Minnesota, but also your boy Brock, how do you say it? Delsignor, yeah. Delsignor, who's going to NC State. So, and he's ranked number 22 in the nation. So I think Sonny Sasso is going to have a very big weekend here if he can knock some of those guys off. Seth Huntsinger, he's from Hazleton. He's going to Kutztown next year. Two-time state qualifier, regional fifth. This is a guy who was only fifth in the district as a freshman. Now, at a higher weight, he really ended his career in a strong position, finishing as a state qualifier twice. And a guy who's going to Kutztown. I'm excited to see him wrestle here at 220 pounds. But Riley Robel from Bish McDevitt is the guy who really impressed us at the Redemption Duel, beat Billy McChesney. He won a Virginia Beach national title in the sophomore division. Him and Sonny Sasso both won titles. He is just really becoming a force here, and he's going to get tested. Charlie Tibbetts from New York was a New York State third, but we just talked about him from South Dakota, Navarro Shunk. Ranked number 16 in the nation, Riley Robel has a chance to really get his name on that map.
Yeah, he's really, as you said, a guy that's really opened some eyes over the past few months, and this is another huge opportunity for him there. If he can take out a guy like Shunk, that's going to put his name up there in those national rankings without a doubt.
So, going through the lineups here, Eric, what do you think about PA's chances, and how do you think we fare against teams like New York and Minnesota?
I think that it should be pretty competitive. I agree with you that Minnesota roster looks pretty talented. And again, it's hard to tell a little bit with freestyle how that's going to change things up. If some of these guys are really experienced in freestyle, or if they're more folk style specialists and kind of dabbling in freestyle. So I think that'll decide some things. But again, it's just awesome to see this kind of wrestling going on, have an event like this where we can take three really strong states together, get a couple dual meets out of this, and really just enjoy some great wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see a lot of really good wrestling, a lot of nationally ranked guys going head to head. So the round schedule is like this: 11:30 on Saturday, it's going to be PA versus Minnesota. So right off the bat, PA is going to wrestle Minnesota. At 1:30, New York's going to wrestle Minnesota. And then at the grand finale at 3:30 is New York versus PA. So 3 rounds, each state will wrestle the other. So excited to see this. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be streamed live on Journeymen. So if you go to www.journeymenwrestling.com, you can go on and watch it live there. It's $20 to watch. Our good buddy Brian Hazard's going to be announcing.
Nice.
So it's going to be a lot of fun to see him and have him up there. Overall, it's COVID protocols are going to be followed, and it's going to be just not, it's going to be limited to who can see it in person, but I think we're going to see a lot of fans tune in online, and why wouldn't you? Because there's going to be a lot of good wrestling. Especially excited to see some of these Pennsylvania guys, like you said, Jackson Harrington, Trey Cobb, Carter Dybert, just get after it with some of these nationally ranked guys.
Yeah, absolutely. A good opportunity to see some of these guys we've been seeing seemingly every weekend. Some of them we haven't seen too much of since the PIAA tournament. So kind of interesting to see where guys are right now and how they match up with some of the best from New York and Minnesota.
So that's Saturday. Sunday, Eric, we need you, okay? We need you, Eric. Sunday is a big day. We're driving from New York to Lock Haven. Well, technically Williamsport. We're going to Liberty Arena.
You don't have the PA Power Jet for that? I thought you were just
the
flying
PA Power
the
jet.
jet.
You're funny. Number one, I'm economically friendly. Okay, my carbon footprint's small, Eric. I'm not gonna
So's your economical footprint.
So's my portfolio. Yeah. Hey, you want to trip to Budapest? You better believe I'm taking a taxi. We need you Sunday, Eric. We're streaming the PA Power Wrestling Matttown USA Freestyle Duels. Okay, this is big news, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a great event. Let me tell you a little bit about the Matttown USA Freestyle Duels, brought to you by PA Power Wrestling. We're talking about some very serious Division I wrestlers and programs that are coming in to compete. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you look at the teams that are coming in, Lock Haven's Wrestling, their team's going to be split up into two. It's Matttown RTC. They have a red and they have a blue team. The Citadel's coming in with a team. Clarion is coming in with two teams. They're going to have...
You're representing there today.
I am. I'm representing the Clarion Gold. Shout out Brock Zackerel. They're going to have two teams, Clarion Blue and Clarion Gold. They're also going to have the Appalachian State RTC, which is the Blue Ridge RTC. They're going to be there as well. Bloomsburg is sending a squad. Buffalo is sending a squad. So you have 8 quality Division I programs that are wrestling unattached, right? It's going to be a lot of fun. These are freestyle duels. So let me go through the schedule here. Round 1 at 9 o'clock, Matttown Red versus Citadel. Clarion Blue versus Buffalo. Clarion Gold versus Matttown Blue. Blue Ridge RTC versus Bloomsburg. Round 2 is Matttown Red versus Buffalo. Citadel versus Clarion Blue, Clarion Gold versus Bloomsburg, Matttown Blue versus Blue Ridge RTC. This is going to be a lot of good wrestling, and I'm going to release the rosters here probably either tonight or tomorrow morning. But there's a lot of good young talent, man. Clarion and Lock Haven, obviously, we're impartial to the PA wrestlers that are on those teams. I mean, we're talking about some serious guys, and even a guy like Toby Cahill, Eric, who's at Buffalo now, heavyweight. Excited to see him. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're streaming all 4 mats on Rockfin. So there's going to be 4 mats running. We're going to be streaming all 4 mats on Rockfin. There's going to be one mat that we are calling a kind of a showcase mat, where we're going to have a little bit more technology. We're going to have some scoreboards. We're going to have potentially multiple camera angles. The other ones we're going to have cameras on. We're going to have people there giving score updates. But we need you, Eric. We need you there. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I will do my best. I got the COVID vaccine on Friday. If I'm not completely knocked out by it, I'll make the couple-hour drive to Lock Haven and be ready.
All right.
You saw me suffer through the surge the last time. You saw my condition then. I mean, this can't be any worse than that, can it?
Well, if it's if it's COVID, it's going to be worse than that. But you're not getting COVID,
so it's not actually COVID.
You're fine. I had COVID. Yeah. Okay, you're fine. And both shots, no big deal, no problem. You're good.
This is number 2, so
number 2.
It's not gonna be any
number
worse
1
than
was
one.
fine. Number 2's.
I was fine with 1.
Okay. Are you getting Moderna or Pfizer?
Pfizer.
Okay, I had Moderna, so I can't really speak to that. But I'm sure
you said you were good with it, right? It didn't do anything to you.
Yeah, it was fine. But I had and I had COVID, and I mean, just a little bit, just a little, but my wife says it's the man flu. Like, she says I'm just a wuss, Spencer wouldn't like that, because excuses are for wusses.
I'm not going to argue with Lauren.
Well, and you shouldn't argue with Spencer Lee. Excuses are wusses for wusses. Okay. It's on a t-shirt.
The guy had no freaking ACL.
So yeah, you can come after getting your vaccine 2 days before.
Yeah.
Matttown USA Wrestling Club Freestyle Duels, presented by PA Power Wrestling, Sunday, Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to everybody. Happy Cinco de Mayo, and happy...
How are you getting away on your first Mother's Day? How is this...
Don't worry about it.
Man. Are your locks going to be changed when you get home?
Yeah, I may have to have visitation rights for my little man. Yeah, it's going to be
staying at Coach Moore's house the rest of the week. What?
Stop! Don't do that to me, Eric. Don't do that to me. I'm already anxious and nervous enough. Okay, I don't need any more. I'm happy to spend Cinco de Mayo with you, Eric, and National Hoagie Day. We talked
Mother's Day.
Well, and hopefully Mother's Day. I better see you Sunday. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Again, streaming live on Rockfin. Go to our PA Power Wrestling channel. You can see all 4 mats. Bear with us as we get things going up with that. make sure you tune in on Saturday, right? Saturday's going to be a one heck of a day of wrestling at the WrangleMania between New York, Minnesota, and Pennsylvania. There's also the Stand Your Ground event. I'm really excited to see Briar Priest and Jude Swisher. Not sure if I'll be able to catch it because I'll be driving, but excited to see Jude Swisher and Briar Priest lock horns. Briar Priest just committed to Pitt. Big pickup for them, state champion. I know you're excited, Eric. So, but yeah, I better see you on Sunday. Thanks for Spencer Barnhart for stopping in and talking a little bit about his national championship title. Eric, anything else for the veteran of the organization before we leave?
No, just excited to another big weekend of wrestling. As you said, the WrangleMania and then the Lockhaven event on Sunday should be an action-packed weekend.
Yep, we're going to see a lot of good wrestling here, and you're going to be able to catch basically all of it live on Rockfin. The Journeymen channel on Rockfin will have the WrangleMania archived matches there afterwards. So, but you can watch it live on Journeyman. And again, we'll be posting all that information to you shortly. Again, thank you to Spencer Barnhart. For Eric Knopsnyder, I'm Jeff Upson. Until next time, stay classy, wrestling fans, especially on Cinco de Mayo.